It's time. It's time. Hi, I'm Eric. This is the God Killer. I'm rolling in a little bit late today. A little bit late because there's a day job that I'm at before this, and today it's stretched long. And, I just got home. Just barely got home. 9 to 10-ish hours on this one. And I won't lie, I'm a little tired. I'm not going to come into this session as energetic as I have in the past, but it will be enough. It will be enough to get some shit done. I'm going to kick off with a demo of what I completed yesterday. And I've been consistent. I have been consistent with providing everyone a demo at the start of these videos. These are live coding sessions, by the way. But at the beginning, I will do a demo in case it is just too friggin' boring to watch me code, and you just want to catch the first 5 to 10 minutes, just see a demo. That works. That's what we're going to do right now. And then after that, I will get into some coding. I've just got a small task I gave myself. It's almost too small. I'm worried it's going to be too small and I'll be done with it really quick. And then I'll still have time on the clock, and then I'll say, oh, I got to do one other thing, and that one other thing will go long. And I love to end these sessions neatly with a sense of accomplishment that something's in the dump pile. I hate walking away from one of these sessions with this feeling like there's some shit I got to come back and handle. I mean, it's all one big pile of shit I got to come back and handle. But, yeah, anyways. It's just better. It's just better if... Here, let me do this with Maximize on Play. I'll do a proper demo for you. Proper demo means I take up the full screen with the game, other than this little area off to the right where my big stupid head is, and an annoying scrolling marquee. Okay, so game set to Maximize on Play, and I hit play again. Yeah, so I like to end the session with a sense of accomplishment, because so many things in my day-to-day job, the way that I actually earn a living, just never, ever come neatly to a close. Never. So I think I have a good plan. I put it forth, and people they start working on it, and then something happens. Well, we're going to reconsider how we do that. We need to take a different approach, or that person's not ready to work on it, or anyways. But here, in the confines of my little work area, my studio here, I get some stuff done, and it's not dependent on anyone else but me. Well, and the people that wrote Unity and Visual Studio, who, if I'm honest, have been letting me down here and there. But all in all, I think they got my back. All in all. So you'll notice subtitles on the bottom of the screen. I did that 2 sessions back, and yesterday I added a feature where I could record audio that would be associated with the last subtitle played. I do it in game, which is not really a feature of the game, but it's a good way for me to just kind of quickly associate the audio with the game and try it out again. So I hit the space bar. I'll wait till the next one. What? I hit the space bar again. I've just recorded a WAV file. Right now I've got 2 subtitles looping back and forth for demo type purposes, but the idea is there would be level scripting that would fire off those subtitles at different places, and each subtitle would be associated with a WAV file of speech dialogue that would be played. And I would do some testing out with that audio and how it matches up with game events that happen in the level. I'll do another one here. Hello, happy birthday, welcome to my world. Okay, I just recorded another audio. Now, what's missing to make this a good demo is what I'll complete in this session, that it would play the audio back. That it would play it with the subtitle. And now that I think about it, there is a fair amount of work to do to get that to happen. So the easy part is going to be just playing the audio. That's the easy part. That's definitely the easy part. I say that, and those are famous last words, I suppose. It could end up being really hard, but recording wasn't hard. Recording was not hard at all. The worst thing I had to do with that was figure out how to take the buffer from the recording and kind of process it a little bit to snip off the silence at the beginning and end. And there was, I have to not represent the code that did that as mine. That was one of the conditions of me licensing it from this guy whose name was, God, what was his name? This is important. This is important. His name, it must never be forgotten. His name is Calvin Rain. I may be mispronouncing his last name. I might be mispronouncing his first name. It could be Calvin Rain, but I think it's Calvin Rain. He wrote a cool library. Here's the thing that's cool about it. It's not even a library. It was one source file, a module, a class that I could just drop in, and it worked. There were a few bugs. I fixed it. I fixed the bug. And he chose to license it not under like a standard open source license, like MIT or GNU or GPL. He just wrote like the conditions for which you could, under which you could license his work. I believe I've met them all. I'm not representing his work as my own. He was saying that specifically in reference to the source code, but I'm not even distributing the source code, but even keeping with the spirit of the law. I'm being very clear that I did not write this code that takes an audio clip generated by Unity and saves it to a file, to persistent storage, and the other part he wrote was trimming the silence off the beginning and end of the audio clip. I reviewed the source code very carefully. It was good source code. There was a few bugs in it. There was one kind of unhandled exception type thing that wasn't really a bug, but he had a to-do note about like it should return false if it fails, so I just added that in, continuing from his suggestion. And then I noticed that if when you trim the silence on the audio clip, if you set a threshold that's too high, there's an exception that gets thrown, so I add some extra handling for that. I wish I could contribute it back to the source code easily and do a little PR pull request into this repository, but it's like he didn't like release a library, he released a snippet, that's his prerogative, you know. Doesn't have to put it up on GitHub. He doesn't have to do that. He put it there. He said the terms by which some guy that comes along, a stranger, can use it. I followed them. I salute him. I like people that contribute, that are generous and put things in the open source world. Put sounds and audio out into Creative Commons land or public domain land. I've done all those things myself. For the most part, I'm not going to with this code base. If someone ever said, what about this one part of the game, the source code for that, could you open source that? Somebody actually asked me to. I would be extremely inclined to release at least a portion of the game that way. I wouldn't open source the whole game because I don't know, there are like different people out there that they're not really contributing any way to the source code. They would just take the game and kind of repackage it a little bit and put it out there. And I don't feel like it's worth my time to support that. But if someone sees some code in here that they would like to get their hands on for their own use, that would specifically fit a need of theirs, not the whole friggin' game, you can ask me. I'm probably going to say yes. Probably. Okay, so that's the demo. Let's get to coding. Man, I can talk for 10 minutes, even when I'm very tired, to nobody at all. And that's either a skill or mental illness. I wanted to get better at that, though. Like, I used to do podcasts, and I was kind of bad unless I had a real structure and script to stick to. I even went so far as like writing out all the stuff I was going to say and then recording it. So it is a thing that's worthwhile for me to have the ability to just kind of expound. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I started thinking about this morning while I was drinking my morning coffee in a large coffee affiliate. And there's some modifications to make to this say function, which is sort of the jumping off point for level control script to say that a character is going to say something, that dialogue is going to be played in the form of audio, and then a subtitle will appear. So this is sort of the top level place for all those things to be coordinated. And there's even another thing I'm not going to get into, but facial animation will come in later. God, I made notes about that. I don't want to like remember it all, so I'm going to go run and get my iPad real quick. It'll take me 17 seconds. Three, 2, 1. I was back 3 seconds early. Okay. So what the heck did I write on this subject? I have just a series of iPad scribbled notes. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of pages written. I won't say thousands, that would be too much, but hundreds, yeah, hundreds. So I have one thing called the quick recorder, one little notebook I open up. It's got 3 pages in it. Okay, so I was thinking of my different use cases that I need to handle. Okay, so let me start making some design notes, temporary design notes here. So I want to allow chained dialogue. So a script should be able to call say multiple times, and essentially it would be scheduling for a subtitle and the associated audio with that line to be played. I want to allow interrupting dialogue or offset dialogue. So if you think about it, if one person is saying, "Who are you to stand up to me?" and then somebody else wants to maybe start answering them just a little bit before he ends, This is, by the way, a major failing of a lot of game audio, game dialogue. I am king of the world. Alright, so to accomplish this actually natural sounding interruption, we interrupt each other all the time when we talk. It's like not even like a real, it's sort of like the California stop of interruptions. We tend to not wait for the other person to come to a complete stop before we start talking. But when our speaking pace is just up a little bit, it doesn't have to be a high drama thing, just like the normal ebb and flow of, say, a conversation at work, or with someone you know, you got a little bit of rapport with them, you'll be listening to kind of feel where the end of their sentence is coming, and you will, and you're not an asshole for doing this, you should be forgiven, we all do it, most all of us. You'll start right, just a little before the end of the other person finishing. It happens all the time. If you really listen for it, you'll notice it. But we don't wait for the other person to stop. It's almost worth me setting up a standard offset for all of these chainings, where if it's not the same character's speech that is being chained one clip after another, it's a different character's speech, I almost should automatically have it overlap a tiny bit. The only downside of that is it would lead to more situations where it's hard to understand either the end of the previous sentence or the beginning of the next one. I say sentence, I mean line. So yeah. Anyways, these are the kinds of things I get to play with, and I get to play with it with this system that lets me record and test the audio right in the game, and not wait for actors to record everything in a session and get that in and process it and put assets in the game. This thing will just let me iterate on it really fast. So there's rules to interruption. Like, if the sentence that the person is saying is a little bit obvious, this is what we do in real life too. Who are you to stand up to? That's but the time when it's right to interrupt is when the end of the sentence is really predictable. If I say, who are you in the consequences of eternity, you don't want to interrupt that sentence. You don't want to, because this thing on the end is very atypical. So here's a good place for the next interrupting bit of dialogue to come after this is properly finished. So these are the kinds of things I'm thinking about when I put together this playback system. I also need to have some positional information. So I was thinking of these characters as being more like constants, but now I'm thinking of them more like classes. I should say more like, well, not constants, just regular instances that update and contain current state. So one of the things that I want to keep with each one of them is a transform that will end up being checked to find out their latest position, which indicates where the character is at. Okay. Okay, the scheduling needs to happen in some kind of structure. Okay, so let me plan this out a little bit more. So play, the signature of the function is going to change a little bit. It's going to be sorry, not play, say and be the character. No, already was the character. Okay. String line, and then say offset equals 0. By default, a line will just come after the next at offset 0. So to wait for any currently playing line to stop playing. Okay, so all this will do is add an item to schedule. Half of this is coming up with good names for this, so let's call this speech schedule is the plural, but what's the speech event? Yeah. In fact, I don't even want to call it schedule, because then you sort of lose the connection between plural and singular. So speech event, new type, it's going to have basically character, line, so maybe that's all it is. It just queues those up. I don't think that's quite right though, because I don't want to continuously be figuring out when the line is supposed to play with calculating an offset from the last speech event. So let's do something a little bit better. We'll do float start time, float end time. Okay, so what would that give me? That okay, in order to know the start time and end time, I'm going to have to load in the audio clip. So let's get the audio clip in there too. If I don't have an audio clip for the line yet, that means I will estimate the duration of a good duration for when for how long to show the subtitle based on the length of characters in the line. Okay. Okay, then update. Okay, these speech events will go in a queue. Peak next speech event. If it's time to play it, play it. If it's time to say it, show subtitle. Now let's see. Pop from queue. Show the subtitle. Play audio clip if have it. Okay. So let me think a little bit more. It's possible that there could be multiple speech events. So some cases. Multiple speech events at once. time has gone beyond the end time of a clip. Okay, so here let me time is past the end time. Pop from Q without playing. This is a big while loop because I might have to do a number of things. While forever. Alright, I'm getting very codey here, so it feels to me like I'm not doing design anymore. I should just be writing code. I feel like I've got this pretty... The thing with all these little rough designs that I write is I just get them to the point where I feel like I could start without making a major mistake that I would have to redo. And the rest I'll tweak in code as I go. So, let me start. The other thing I want to do is just roll this off into a new class, because I'm realizing the scene dialogue was meant for something more specific. So let me do out this stuff I hear. Put too much stuff into one thing. So it's time to take it out. Leave this how it was. This was meant to be a module for just loading all the dialogue for a scene from a bundle, which I'll come back to. I had it working, but it's not appropriate for this record and play system I want. Put that back in. What else? There was stuff here. Class. What's your issue? Oh, I'm just getting confused. Do I want this to be static? What was scene dialogue? Was it? No, it wasn't static. It did have static stuff. I do want it to be static. I do want it to be static. Whenever I have a singleton, I really just want it to be static. But I need it to be mono behavior, so maybe I want it to just have static members. So static. I'll call this with a typical peak. The idea is I'll just initialize this with just kind of a normal high value of speech events to be initialized for it to have at a peak time. You can still put more in there, but if I can just start off with a good value, then it doesn't have to perform extra allocations later on. Alright. So this becomes purely queuing. Speech events. Here, let's just move this down here. And just take that out. And this is going to come down here, basically. This one is easy, 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 easy. Float, offset. Well, maybe it's not that easy. I still gotta like load the file right here. Okay. So the things that go in there is the character, line, audio clip, start time, end time. So create a new speech event. The easy stuff I'll do first. Why are you... Is it... I don't get it, man. Oh, it might be a... Yeah, that's it. It was a reserved word. I was trying to be brief for once, and what did it get me? Okay. So, character. Let's do some assignments here. I always forget. Is it... I always forget. Get mixed up between JavaScript and... Make all those public. Okay. So other stuff. Audio clip, start time, end time. Start time I know. Start time I can figure out. That's not too hard. Oh, one other use case I thought of is the last item in the schedule is not necessarily the one with the end time that is the latest. So I want to just kind of keep track as I add things. This has to be static. Last end time. Latest end time equals 0. I guess I should wait on assigning that. Okay. No, because it's no, I need to I need to have a state for it where it's not set to anything. I know that it's technically possible for time.time to return with its 32 bits of freedom the value 0. But that's such a small thing. I'm not gonna. Oh man. Just the thought that someone might hold that against me is. Latest end time active equals. Is latest end time set equals false. Okay. Yeah, because I will have to set it to 0, and then it's a floating point comparison of 0, which is a warning, and fills me with dread. And also, there's a tiny chance that the end time might actually get set to 0 and mean 0. So, okay. If not is latest end time set, latest end time equals right now, at least at the time that the say was called. And I can say that the start time is going to be the latest end time plus offset I'm thinking of a case where some dialogue was meant to play offset into the previous dialogue, but it wasn't really, like, the code that called it wasn't really sure if there was going to be dialogue there or not. So it just set like a negative value, but that would put it before current time. So I'm going to say that if the offset, if it's one of these like lines where they're trying to interrupt, where it's an offset that's less than 0, I'll have some special handling here. Just set the offset to 0. I think that will prevent some errors. Okay. So now I have to either load the clip or estimate its duration based on the length of the text in the subtitle. So I already have some code to figure out file name. A file name based on character name in the line. I need to refactor it someplace that isn't here, because this class is only going to be around for editor stuff. So let me put it let's put it in here as a static method. Actually, I need something more like I'm even gonna make it just even a little more refactored. Call it dialog file name. It would be my favorite kind of class, a static class. My favorite kind. Let's take this, throw it in here. Let's take this. Let's call it get. Okay. And that. This other code is called by that, so let's move it over there. Alright, clean all this crap up. The idea of this is that I would come up with a file name for dialogue kind of automatically by just the character name and whatever text is in the line he's speaking. And it's just a system where I don't have to mess around with like mapping like some kind of sound ID to a line. It just happens automatically. So I can say I'll return this concatenated string. It's got the name of the scene, which comes from here. Okay. This I just copied over. I'm not sure what it's bulking about. Probably some stuff up at the top. Yeah, like not calling the whole thing a class, that would do it. Okay, so that should, it gets rid of the red. I think that's the right code there. Look at me, refactoring like a responsible adult. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is get the file name. Okay. And then here's new code that I have to figure out how to write. Load that file. Load that file. Is it just going to be something built right into audio clip? Okay. So that's the file name. Okay, now what are you complaining about? Just save everything. Oh. So that's that. Is it a file name or is it a file path? That's a file name. Save file name, and then I know what this thing is going to do. It's going to save it in a persistent storage path. So it's got some other logic inside here in this third-party code from my wish he was my friend Calvin Reen. What a cool guy. So third-party code here. It's got the path inside of there, inside of his save function. I'm trying to think if I want to encapsulate that or not. I think for now I'm not going to. But let me just see what he used again. Path, get directory name, file path. Okay, he did this path combine, persistent data path, file name. Okay, I get that. Okay, then he's adding on.wav to the end. That's fine. That's all good. But I kind of feel like I'm going back on what I said. I think I want to do. I do want to encapsulate all this stuff. So if I just yoink this out, change this to file path. And I can change this to be returning that part that he was kind of calculating. So he's saying add wav to the end. Okay, I can do that too. I can just add .wav there. So it's going to be persistent file path separator and then .wav. This is var stuff. Let's call this file name. And turn this. File path. And I'll call this refactor it a tiny bit. Okay. That's probably going to work. So let me go back and see what I broke. Dialog recorder. Let's rename this to path. Okay. Let's go back to dialogue. Now I'm saying to the internet, Unity load audio clip from path. Yeah, that one. Maybe that's what I want. I want to load it from persistent storage. From persistent data path, yeah. That seems like what I want. Okay. So let's say speech event. I'm gonna set the audio clip here, potentially, if I'm lucky. I know that this is not actually a performant way to do this, but it's not the final way. It's the way that I'm going to use in development. And at some point in my pipeline, I shouldn't say my pipeline, that's very pretentious. In my process that I'm going to have for recording audio, it'll end up having them in bundles, I believe, and those will load in more efficiently. Now I've already got code for that, but this is going to load from persistent storage. If I'm lucky. On the enumerator. I'm not going to do it with an enumerator. I understand the reasoning of doing it that way, but I'm just going to try it without. this case, I return null to indicate there is no file there. Why? Really? Wow, that's weird. What is the thing that makes it an iterator? I just suppose that I just comment out all this other stuff. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so something inside of here is sort of, maybe it's the invoke call, I'm not sure. This yield call, that would probably do it. Okay. Doesn't have the usings. I gotta look up the usings all by myself. Okay, so what is it? Unity web request. Oh, is it just Unity Engine? Did I miss Unity Engine? Nope, it's not. It's something else. Got it. Networking. Technically, it's not really networking, but it's the file system. I kind of don't know why I can't just use regular file I/O commands. I bet I can. If Calvin could write to the file system, I ought to be able to read from it. I feel better doing it the Calvin way than I do the Mart way. Also, he says, as of now, this has worked for me. So it feels kind of like he's just hacking his way through. At least, no, I shouldn't diss on him. He's just putting some code out here. He's not saying it's the greatest or the best or anything. Maybe after that he got real serious about it. All I was doing was just copying his code over too. I wasn't being rigorous. I'm not going to get down on Mart. Alright, let me just get rid of all this stuff. It's obvious to me now. It's obvious. Even gonna preserve this. Because who knows? Maybe I will go back to it. Alright. But I'm gonna try it the more what's the word for it? Symmetrical. It's a more symmetrical way. I already have one way of writing the code that works quite well as far as I can tell. So why would I not just symmetrically do the same thing? So he used system.io. I can also use system.io, I believe. Let's take out this stuff. I don't think I'll need it. Could be wrong, but I just don't think I will. So, create empty. So you can just do a file stream. I don't like this var stuff. I don't like that, but that's okay. I can do it my way. File stream. In file mode will just be open. And this part's good. This part right here is good. The file doesn't exist. Just exit out. You're saying I don't need the system I/O? That would make sense because I already imported it. Then so there's going to be something called read. Oh, I know. Oh, I forgot like a whole thing. I forgot like probably the reason why Mart has all that code there. Because I don't have all the WAV parsing. The WAV parsing built into this file stream code. So Calvin did me a large favor and wrote code that specifically writes RIF format, that's the WAV file format, chunks and such. Do I want to write, in the keeping with this symmetry, the reading part of it and the parsing part of it? The reading part wouldn't be hard. The parsing might trip me up a little bit. So, okay. I'm confident that I could, within 15 minutes or so, read in the data from the file path, but I'm not as confident about being able to do the same parsing that would be symmetrical with the saving that was done in that other file. Don't want to write a WAV file parser. So put back in Mart's code. Stop disarm. I'm not better than Mart's code. I'm not better than it. It's not good that it's obsolete. Alright, this is the part where if I don't use this enumerator, I'm going to have to figure out the callback stuff on here. So I've not done asynchronous stuff on in Unity. So I could convert it to an IE numerator. But that would mean that I would have to write something of a state machine, which I'm probably being a baby and not doing it, but I was hoping to get something up and going quick. Because it calls these yield things. So there's code here at the top that executes here. This is all synchronous. This is saying that after this web request is sent, asynchronously the code will return back to this point in execution. And I'll check for an error. Just thinking about my options. Here's my options. I can use Mart's code in a asynchronous style, and then I would have to add a state machine logic where the initial request to say something will perform a load. It'd be very fast. It's just a file system load. Despite all this www stuff, it's just file system. The part that I was really hoping to kind of grab from it was this audio type conversion. That's the part that's most valuable to me. That's one option. I can make this asynchronous. That sounds like a pain in the ass. Another option is to write a parser that's symmetrical with this the saver for reading in the WAV file format, and set an audio clip with samples and the frequency and everything based upon reading back in the data. That's actually sounds like less work, but still a lot of work than the first option. But also, I'm going to keep doing a little more searching, because I feel like there's going to be some other combination of APIs that will do the same thing. Okay, so resources load. That might do it too. I just wasn't sure if the resources has to have it like in a bundle. Actually, I wrote code like this already. I just thought maybe it might have to be in a bundle or in that resources folder, and that wouldn't be compatible with using the persistent storage to let me record. Let me just check the documentation. By the way, their search scripting is terrible. It's just easier to say Unity load resource. See, I even said the wrong thing, and Google still figured it out for me. Okay, the path. Just want to know. Okay, so it would have to be inside of resources. It can't be in the persistent storage. Okay, so that option's out. Let me see what this person says. I don't mind loading it synchronously because it's just from the file system. And it's only like a during testing and development that I'm using this type of loading. Okay, so this is an alternate way to do it. I can pull. So I can pull. Alright, let me try that. Let me try that. Yeah, it's gross. Alright. Oh, it's just the same thing. Okay, so you basically said the same thing. Okay. Get audio clip. I must be getting tired. I must be getting tired. Alright, so you said www equals this crap, the whole path. File plus file path. Okay, so probably better off not using that. I like the using syntax. I don't know about this though. That's not good. That's not good. You know that's not good. You know that's terrible. How could that even possibly be good? That's like the kind of thing that can just crash the whole... hate this. I'm tired. I feel my brain kind of doing crappy. I don't want to like bite off so much to chew right now. I don't want to get into how to do asynchronous stuff in Unity right now. I just wanted to write a crappy synchronous version. So this person's pretty adamant that I have to use the www API to load it. I've not seen one person, except that one person who had like that tight loop there that looked terrible, show a good synchronous way to get it. Load the audio. I have to do a start coroutine. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think I got enough juice to do it tonight. I just don't. Let me get some kind of victory here, though. Let me get some kind of victory. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. I can get everything working except for the loading of the audio, because that will need me. To invest more juice than I have right now. Don't got the juice. Don't got the juice, buddy. Okay. So now I say. Then I want to estimate the duration based on the amount of characters in the line. Okay, so let's do or length. Okay, so the end time for this guy is going to be speech event. End time is going to be start plus the duration. Okay. let's say that it does 30 characters per second. So then I'll say but sometimes the line that gets shown is like a one-word line. Do I want a minimum? Just have a minimum of 1 second. Private static. Minimum. Line duration. Take care of that. So then last thing for that is to add the speech event to my queue. Speech events, add it, or in queue. I don't remember if it's first and last out. No, first in, first out. Okay, so NQ adds the end peak from start. It's first in, first out. Or I could do DQ, and then it would be... Oh, wait a minute. No, that's right, okay. First in, first out. So then, this logic here, finally getting to it. While something. Okay. Speech rate. Kamikaze Toy, how you doing? I'm just glad you're not a bot, as far as I can tell. Okay, so then the criteria is if this is past the current time. Actually say let's get rid of anything that I've gone past, so just DQ them. Terms for coding. Like what kind of terms do you mean? Like legal terms or definitions of things? Mary Maria. So let's see, fire one left mouse click or something like that. So I don't know, like you're asking a real general question. Where can you learn about Unity's terms for coding? So like what I usually do when there's some question, I usually go to the, like this, I've done it quite a few times on this one. I'll say Unity, and then let me see, left mouse click. And then I just kind of go from there. What's the entry name for mouse buttons and input manager? And sometimes, like, I don't even get something useful at the top. Like what I just was doing just a little bit earlier was I would ask a question and then like 4 links down I just open up all of them. Just kind of like look at each one at a time. Maria, yeah, I'm a web developer too. If you got a web question, I can give it a shot. Yeah, but one tip I'll give you is inside of here, inside of like the Unity official documentation, I try to find stuff in this search thing. It's just terrible, man. It's terrible. Just use Google. Just type Unity, load audio clip from persistent data path. That was the last one. And I try to ask the question with a term that I actually know is like an official term within Unity if I have it. And if I don't, like, so for example, I know the thing that plays audio is an audio clip, and I know that the specific place I'm storing at is this persistent data path. I knew that from some earlier code. Say I didn't know, then I'd be load audio from file, which is like a more general question. It's kind of like you ask sort of stupider questions, more ignorant questions to start, and you read stuff and then it kind of builds your knowledge a little bit, like, and you think like maybe more specifically I want to use resources load, for example. So that's my process. That's the thing, you say you don't understand what you're saying, so like the first thing is try to think of the stupid way to ask the question. You know? So like what's the thing you're trying to figure out? If you got something specific, we can search for it right now. Or if I know it, I can tell you. But that's my approach. I go from stupid to smart with my questions. If I had no idea about audio, I'd be like, Unity, how do I play sounds? And then I'd end up having to watch a bunch of stuff, and then it kind of build up my vocabulary a little bit, and I'd know how to ask more specific questions. If I didn't know anything about game programming, I'd be, how do I make games? But man, that's all I do. And then I just get little hooks, and then my questions get better. Okay, so you want to know how to detect keyboard events, or you want to know, like, if a user typed in a keyboard command, they hit a key, you want to know if they hit that key, right? And then also for mouse clicks, you want to know if they click the mouse someplace. Yeah, sure. I will tell you two things here. First, I'm going to give you the exact answer. Actually, second, I'm going to give you the exact answer, but I'm going to tell you, like, if I didn't know, I would put in how. I started with Unity. I put in Unity, how do you get keyboard input? And then that's the other thing, is like when you start typing your question, other people's questions that are close to yours pop down underneath, and then it's got this how to get keyboard input, and that sounds close. And then the first thing that pops up is this stuff here. That sounds pretty good. I go in. I don't say any of this at all to make you feel bad at all. I'm just saying, like, this is like the methodology for figuring out shit, So I'm just scrolling down. That was a question you asked, like, about Fire 1. Like, what does that go to? Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like, this page, coming to it, it's a little bit daunting. I mean, there's a lot here. It's like, it's telling you about all the input, all of it, every single last bit. But here's the stuff with the mouse button, for example. Right? So you got mouse button down, you got mouse button up. That's one thing you want. The other one you want is keyboard commands. And I know the name of it. It's get key down. You can decide if you want down or up. So I said I was going to tell you the answer, but I mean, I am kind of doing that by just showing you this, like how I come to it. So this is it. Like, this is the example code here. So you have something that's like copy and pasteable. If you want to go to the same URL, I'm gonna put this in the chat window. Then you don't have to, like, look at the video screen and, like, type out the same stuff. You can just use that URL. But yeah, this code here, this is what I use. Get key down. You put it in your update loop, and so you say, like, if this returns true, input get key down, return space, then execute this code inside of here. And that's the gist of it right there. All right, I gotta see if I can get this little bit of code here to get going. So I'm saying that if you bet. I call that methodology the stupid to smart system. You ask stupid questions until your questions get slightly smarter and you get better answers. Alright, so then let's see. So speech events. DQ it. Done with that one. So okay, so go through my speech queue. Just look at the first one. If if the time to play that speech event is past, I just get rid of it. Then I loop back around. I just get rid of anything that's already gone past. Okay. So then, if it's a top-down 3D puzzler. It's called the God Killer. I demo for you in just a little bit if you want. Just got to get this code to compile. Let's see, return. Oh, I gotta do another thing. I got to. Yeah, there's one called Deadly Rooms of Death, or DROD. It's a series of games. It's not a puzzle game. It's more of a 2D thing. Then I want. Let's take false. Okay. Let's change this to all true. Okay. Then let's peek the next. Time to play it. Time to play. Time to play this baby. Then I'm gonna pull all this up to here. This would be. Line and DQ. Put this down here. Okay, and play this thing. Speech event, audio clip. I gotta use. Play. Just come back to that. All right, I feel like this code will not work right away, and I even don't want to get into testing it in this session and debugging it in this session. I'm going to let it sit and wait for me. I just want to get it to where it compiles, and after it compiles, I'll give you a quick demo of my beloved game, and then I'll probably end the session right after that. So let me see if I can just get it to compile for me. Something will break. Something I've got to fix, no doubt. So it built, that means I can probably play it. And just for you, I'll throw in a few enemies so that it's a little more action oriented. It might be kind of fun. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Brawlers, brawlers, brawlers. This guy's called Brawlers. Oh, I can't pull it there. I gotta throw it in the scene. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hidden play. So I don't know what kind of games you've played before, but this one's a little bit different than most. So everything is paused until you move. It's loading right now. After you move, everything else moves. Kind of like if you were playing a game of chess with somebody that was just extremely, extremely fast. So, keyboard commands you have are just up, down, left, right. Okay. So this hand's floating around, that's a character in the game who doesn't really interact with you too much. Now if I hold down the shift key, it gives me option to another command. That's called flinging. It just lets me move all the way in one direction until I hit like a wall or other obstacle. So I can hit these guys and they can hit me. Nobody dies very easily. It's a lot of pushing people around. Camera's a little bit hard there to deal with. Thank you. Get out into the large area so you can see that. We gotta get past these guys first. So this first level is meant to be like an introduction for the player. They're just getting used to the basics of movement. So there's not too much going on here yet. Then I've got some more level to create up here. And it'll lead to a moment where the character just kind of jumps off this height here and falls all the way down to the bottom, and there'll be a little platform there. So there's all that stuff, and then there's a bunch of other game elements that are already written, but I don't have on this level. There's like these things that shoot beams that you have to stay away from the beams. There's ice that you can slide around on. There's these turnstile type things that swing around. So yeah, it's like a whole bunch there. And I'm maybe like 23% done with it. So a lot more work to go, but it's getting there. Anyways, Kamikaze Toy, I'm gonna end the session, go off and chill for a bit, and cook some dinner. Thanks for joining me. All right, have a good one. You bet. See ya.